Okay, so let's continue from where we had left, right? So, so we talked about how do you launch website on different browsers, right? Firefox, IE, Chrome, and how we have downloaded different drivers from the Selenium HQ website, right? So that we have seen. Now let's learn some of the basic browser commands, right? Which we would frequently come across, right? Yeah. So let's go here. Now let me create another package. I'll create another package and I will say, now let's say this is package, let's say basic commands. Okay, this is package 2, right? Now here, just a second, let me make it as b underscore like this. Okay, now what I would do here, okay, now we know how to launch a website. Now let's continue. Let's say basic browser commands, basic browser, let's say commands example. Okay, now let me create a main method. Yeah, right. And now we know that the basic code to launch a website, for example, will stick to Chrome browser now. So I'll copy this code, okay, and I'll put it over here, okay, like this, right? Now we know here, let me import this first, right? So we have already seen how do I navigate to a certain URL, right? Now let's say on this URL, for example, Selenium HQ, let's say, let's go to downloads. Yeah. Now let's say on this URL, I want to print the title of this page, right? So do you see this downloads on the top? This is nothing but a title of my page, right? For example, if I go to Amazon, right, do you see if I mouse over on this tab, I see this title, right? Online shopping site in India, right? Let's say I want to print the title of my website. So how to print that? Okay, so I'll just copy this URL. Let's go to this URL and just use the method driver.getTitle, right? So this would give me the title of my website, launch website, right? Of course this would return a string, right? So I can very well assign this to a string, let's say actual title, like this. And if I just print this actual title, it should print the title basically, right? And I'll say driver.quit, right? Let's execute this program. So I'll put a breakpoint over here just to see how it prints title. Right, it has started the browser and navigated to amazon.in. Then the page is loading, and if you see here, see this line, basically it has grabbed the title. So if I do a mouse over on this action title, see it has grabbed the title and then it is printing on the console basically, right? And then it would close the browser, correct? So if somebody says, okay, let's say in your testing you have a validation saying, okay, does this particular text contains in the title of Amazon, right? So what I will do here, I will simply say here, I'll put a validation if this actual title contains so and so string, then my test case is passed, my validation is passed, right? Of course, in the upcoming modules we would see how we would redirect in a report, but for time being I'll just put it like this, or let's say I'll say this is fail, like this, right? So again let me execute in a normal run mode now. So if you see here, the test case should pass because the title contains so and so, right? So it is launching the website. okay, and did you see it has passed the test case because the title which we have grabbed contains this particular text in it, right? So this is expected, this is actual, right? Now at times we also come across a situation, for example, let's say if I go to Amazon Fire TV stick, okay, so maybe I want to grab this URL. Do you see this URL? And I want to see when I click on certain link, do I see this particular URL, right? Do I see some word coming in this URL? Okay, so in short, I might want to capture this URL itself. So how do I capture that? Okay, how do I get that through Selenium WebDriver? So there's a command to get that, and the command is driver.get current URL, right? So this will give you current URL of your session, right? Of course, the browser session, correct? And let me again do a sys out here, right? So now Now, again, let's say, as you know, any website, right, will have HTML code behind it, right? We call it as a source code basically, right? So if I show it pictorially, just a second, right? So any website, okay, for example, any website, right? This is a website, right? This website will have some stuff behind the scene, right? Being a user, we may not see that, but what all it contains, right? So basically it will have a HTML code also known as source code, HTML source code maybe, okay. Then it would also have CSS, for example, water colors and the font we see on the website, those are nothing but those are handled by CSS, right? And then it might also have JS, right? For example, JavaScript for UI level validations, right? Business validations at client side, right? So now if I see here, okay, so how do I go there? First of all, how do I see the HTML code? So just right click anywhere and just say inspect, right? Or there's a other way around, you can also do a F12, okay, you can also press F12 on your machine, and that will also launch this developer tool, right? So if you see, this section is nothing but a HTML code. So do you see guys here? So if I keep expanding, this is nothing but your HTML code, right? So at times you might want to fetch the entire HTML source code and see whether it contains specific word or specific pattern, right? It is quite possible in testing you might have to see the HTML source code, right? Same goes in Firefox as well, guys. So if this is my page, let me show you. Let's say google.com. If I want to see the HTML, again you can do control or maybe F12, okay. So see, this is nothing but the HTML of my website basically, right? So how do I get this HTML source code in Selenium, right? So for that, guys, okay, so let me copy paste this program so that I won't write that command separately because it will print some output on your console, and I will say here HTML source code example, right? And let's go here. So now let me remove this commenting because we know this now, so it's unnecessarily adding, it is unnecessarily increasing my code number of lines of code. So let me delete this, okay. And right, so now we have already learned title, so let me remove this as well till here, okay. Now I want to get the source code, so I'll say driver.get, do you see, get page source basically, right? And if I do sys out, of course this will print the source code of my website, right? So if I run this, right, it is launching the browser, okay. and it will read the source code and it will quit. Just a second. Yeah, so if you see here, okay, see it has printed the entire source code of my page. Do you see the one which I just showed you, right? So this is nothing but the source code of my page, right? So it is very rarely used in automation, but just for your information I want to explain you that this what does space source mean, right? Now now if you see this task manager, just a second, okay, if you see my task manager, okay, so over here, just a second, yeah, so over here, so whenever I run any Selenium program, let's say if I'm running it on Chrome browser, you would see a Chrome browser getting launched here. Okay, so let me delete the existing Chrome browsers first. Okay, just a second. Yeah, so let me delete this. Okay, and I will close all browsers as well. Okay, just to make things clear. Okay, right, now if you see there is no Chrome browser instance in my task manager, right? Now let me execute this program and put a breakpoint over here. Okay, just a second. Right, now if you see it has launched the Chrome browser, correct? Now if I go to my task manager, guys, okay, you would see a Chrome driver.exe being triggered, right? So this Chrome driver.exe is nothing but the Chrome driver exe which you have executed just now, right? Now of course when I execute my program, okay, till here, okay, let's say now it will navigate to amazon.com and then it will print the page source, but of course if I don't quit it, okay, then the process will remain as it is, right? So if you see now I'm at line number 14, and if you see the process is still there, right? Now whenever you want to, maybe whenever you want to kill this process, okay, or kill your session, okay, in Selenium we have a command called as driver.quit basically. Okay, so let me arrange them first. Okay, so if you see here, guys, okay, on the right hand side I have the process, and when I say driver.quit, basically you would see it would close the session, in fact the browser, as well as it will kill the process which you see in the task manager, right? So if you see here, see guys, it has killed the browser as well as it has killed the process, right? So driver.quit, okay, so the point I want to explain here is that driver.quit will close the browser and its associated windows, plus it will also kill the respective driver.exe, right? That's the purpose of a quit basically, right? So whenever you, so it is always recommended whenever you run a program, in the end you always should quit it. You should always quit it, right? So that it will kill the browser and it will kill the process, correct? Now moving on, now let me take another example. Let's say I launch a website called as naukri.com, right? now now if you see, when I launch a naukri.com, right, apart from the base window I also see these two child windows, correct? This, so in all I have three windows which are launched here, correct? Now if you see here, guys, so of course, so if I want to put it in words, so if you see here, okay, so I can say here that, okay, my session, okay, has one base website, one base window basically, and two child windows, correct? Right, now whenever you use quit, driver.quit basically method, so it would, okay, kill all windows associated with your session, right? So in this case it means three windows, right? And it would also kill the process, right? But at times we may want to kill a specific window. Okay, I don't want to kill all of the windows, right? All of the windows associated with my session. I may want to kill just this child, or I may want to kill this browser, right? The base window. So in that case, guys, okay, Selenium offers you another command, okay, called as driver.close. Okay, so let me copy this particular program, okay, and put it over here. Okay, and let me say here, this is my close versus quit, right? This is my close versus quit, right? And if you see here, okay, now let me put this website address. Okay, just a second, guys. So let me copy this URL and put it in my program, right? Just a second. Okay, so I'll put it over here. So it should launch naukri.com. Of course, when it launches naukri.com, it will also launch the child windows, right? Now instead of this quit, now what I would do, I would do driver.close basically. So guys, so just keep in mind, driver.close will always close the window, will always close the active, or rather focus window basically, right? So in this case, of course, if you see here, in this case, the by default the focus will be on naukri.com, right, which is a base window, whereas the child windows are not focused, so it will only close the focused window, that is naukri.com, right? However, there's another point of driver.close, it will not kill the process. Okay, so if I execute this one now, just look at the execution. Let me close the open browser first, so that you would very well see that. Okay, now let's execute this. Okay, so if you see here, it is launching naukri.com, right? And do you see it has also launched two more child windows, if you see? Yeah, and see, it has closed only the base window, whereas the child windows are still open, right? So driver.close will always close only the focused window. Okay, in this program it was the base window of the naukri.com. So whenever, let's say, whenever you launch a website and you are coming across multiple windows, then you may want to close a child window. So of course you'll have to shift focus to a child window and then close it, right? So this is a very common question asked in an interview. What is the difference between close versus quit? So quit will close entire session, meaning base window with the child windows, and it will also kill the process. Whereas in case of a close, guys, it will only close the active window. Okay, keeping all other windows as it is. Okay. Also, it will not close the process as well. It will not kill the process as well. Okay, fair enough. Okay. All right, guys, so this is the end of module 9. So in the upcoming module, okay, module 10, we would start with what are inspector elements. Okay, how do I inspect elements in different browsers? Okay, what are HTML tags and attributes, inspectors, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, all right, thank you all. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye.